Hello, everyone. I'm Mia Saenz, and welcome to the I Am Self-Love. So, you are self-love. I am self-love. We are so much self-love that we don't even realize how much our life is supposed to be filled around self-love, about loving, period. So, we have so much to cover this week. It's going to be really fun, but I want it to be more fun than stressful. Because remember, as we start to seek within ourselves, sometimes there's triggers that come up. And so the most important thing is to be gentle. So you're going to hear me say that a bunch of times. So we're going to get into the main stuff of the challenge right now and how it works and who I am, because a lot of you are new to me. And then we're also going to get into some questions and stuff like that so that I can support you more deeply fuller. So welcome to day one of the I Am Self-Love. So during these 4 days, we're going to discover the truth about you and where you stand in having radical love in your life. So to choose radical love means to absolutely choose you first. And we don't do that until we do. So there's a lot of, for some people, there's a lot of new concepts here. For others, it's about staying on top of their stuff, of who they are, or being reminded again. Okay, so this week's work is all about connecting you to your authentic self, your self-love, empowering you, showing you tools, bringing you to yourself. We're going to go over specifically what they are. But for those of you, and this is the part that makes me laugh, because everybody does it, so we have to do it. But for those of you who don't know me, as I said earlier, I'm Mia Saenz, but why would you listen to me? I have a whole write-up because Lori and I do these back and forth, with all of our challenges, but I don't want to have to read to you guys, because what you'd find is that I don't teach as well when I read. So I'm going to glance at my notes back and forth. So I'm Mia Saenz. I'm just going to share who I am. I've been studying self-love for 36 years. I've been a teacher for 15. It's my most favorite thing in the world to do, be, and explore with everybody. Why? Because I once had the most depleted life, I guess you'd call it. I was very introverted, so introverted that I couldn't laugh out loud. And so I had to learn to find myself. And so that's where I became this person that I am now. And all the things that you're going to learn today and further down the road, as you watch and work with us on different things, you're going to discover that the depths of self-love is in every aspect. So when I say to you, see, I've already gotten off of my bio stuff. I don't care. I have a self-love magazine. I write self-love books. I'm a self-love teacher. What else am I supposed to say? I'm a self-love advocate and an activist. So everything for me is self-love. That's what I want you guys first and foremost to realize. We're going to get into the authentic self, but let's talk about the value and the importance that everything you do has to have love attached to it. It's so important because we are not taught how to love for the most part. And so we're going in to reparent ourselves. And with that reparenting, guess what else we get to do? We get to love people deeper, richer, stronger. We get to teach our loved ones what love truly means. I was sharing with a group last week that I did not realize when I softened. So there's a softening that happens with us as humans as we go along. We're there to take care of others, especially women. And so for me, my softening happened when I had my first child, and I started calling him Honey instead of Hunter. And so when he's 18 months, 2 years old, 2.5, 3, all his friends are calling him Honey. And then I started calling the whole world Honey because I was that in love. And so it's really beautiful to find a soft spot within yourself and to know that it's okay if somebody does not understand your kindness or your love, it's okay, move on. Remember, hurt people hurt people. So as we go through our journey, it's about resolving the sensitivities of who we are, not hardening us, but strengthening us to be able to be exactly who we are. Now I'm going to run back down to the notes over here. Okay. So in this week, we are going to, today we're going to be defining the authentic self and the connection to self-love. Discover the essence of your authentic self and understand how self-love plays an integral role in your journey of personal growth. Day 2, recognizing authenticity. Learn how to recognize when you are in touch with your authentic self and experience the profound sense of self-love that rises from that connection. Day 3, tools and connections. I'm probably going to give you tools all the time because when I teach not as close to a script, I throw stuff in because it's just how I teach. Day 3, tools and connections. Acquire particular tools and techniques that will enable you to establish a deep, lasting self-love connection with your authentic self. Day 4, living authentically. Explore how to live a life of self-love, authentically embracing your true nature and manifesting your dreams and aspirations. So the main thing is about breaking old patterns. What are old patterns? Sometimes people don't, until they know, they don't know. So we're going to go through all the many levels in this 4 days so that we're reigniting those who have gone past it, and we're also introducing some people to it. And because I talk about love and self-love being the cornerstone of your life, everything is in reflection to that. So breaking old patterns and tearing down barriers. What is that like? What is that like? Does anybody know? And I'm going to make this interactive. So, or you could raise your hand or you could speak. Does anyone know what I'm talking about old patterns? We don't have to get into depth here because I'll do the talking for the most part. I'm not going to put you on the spot because some people get all nervous. But do you guys know what barriers are? Okay, and old patterns. So when we're born this beautiful, perfect being, right? We love our toes, we're happy for the most part, and then life sets in. So what that looks like is we're generally raised by people who don't know how to raise children. Just like I didn't know how to, even though I studied some books, I didn't know how to raise my kids either. It was a trial by error. It was, how do I love more? So we are influenced greatly by our parents, by our teachers, by the clergy people, by the media, by our friends' parents, by society. All of this is what influences us. So this is what creates our patterns. There are people that I work with that are orthodox in their religion. So that means, or their culture, which means that, they have other barriers. So every person has their own story. And that's what I find so beautiful about individuals is you can have those that are similar and those that are totally alone. So I want you to know that one, you're not alone because everybody has a story that someone else can understand. We learn experientially. We used to sit by campfires or maybe not campfires, but fires with our tribal people thousands of years ago, learning our information passed down. So we learn experientially. So all of this is about shifting you back to who you are and to break these patterns. I'm doubting that the men I'm in the chat, this is a good one. I'm doubting that the men I'm interested in like me. So there's a lot of, yes, there's a lot of patterns, right? And a lot of beliefs. And I can bet you, Daniela, that a lot of that is a misbelief on your own part, or maybe the way your fear is representing yourself. So think about that. So a pattern is an established neuron system within our brain. It's also part of our subconscious. Our subconscious is continually working to support us. I used to think that it was like this steel trapped, like a big safe, like in a bank, and that was my subconscious, and whatever was in there was trapped in and it couldn't change. But the truth about it is we can change as we create new patterns, new ideas, new thoughts, new synapses in our brain. As it begins to work with new patterns, that's what becomes our subconscious. So I want you to know that the most powerful and also passionate thing about self-love is you recreate the individual that you are. And it's all you doing. It's not Mia doing it. It's you doing it. And don't be afraid, because it takes time to move through things, right? And you become this powerful being who can foresee things and start to change and shift your life. Any questions so far? I have to turn this down so I can see. No, yet. Okay, good. Not good, but okay. All right, so defining the authentic self, the connection to self-love, discover the essence of your authentic self, and understand how self-love plays an integral role in your personal journey. So day one today. So we're going to start to talk about your authentic, greatest self. Your authentic self is the greatest you. This is why Lori and I named our academy the Greatest You Academy, because developing the greatest individual that you can be, it needs to start with you, and it needs to start with learning things that perhaps you haven't known before, such as how to speak to yourself, how to think. You have to ask yourself questions. If we don't ask ourselves questions, and this is in your workbook, and maybe some of you have already downloaded your workbook from yesterday, and we're going to stick the workbook in each of your emails. So don't get worried that you're going to arrive without, that you haven't found your workbook yet. So inside our workbook, there's homework questions, and it's for you to sit with and to think about. And we're going to go through those. And I also want you to know that I put in your workbook one of my CDs called Contentment. Contentment was created in 2014 when another clergyman, which I was really surprised, asked me, because I am a minister, but another clergyman asked me years ago, what is it like to feel God? She was feeling very unsettled. And so that really threw me. So I thought about it, we talked about it, I thought about it, and I added it on to the album, and it's called Contentment. And really what it is, it's your highest sense of you, who you are, and bringing you back to that beautiful love of who you are. And in that space is calmness. And so if you're feeling triggered at all, I want you to just listen to Contentment or start your homework with it. So you start at a higher level. And when I say homework, it's just your, self-love work. But you'll start at an emotionally higher level if you listen to Contentment. So you can or not, whatever you choose, it's there for you. So we're going to go over some of the, it's only an 11-minute meditation. We're going to go over some of the things in our workbook. So the question is, who are your biggest influences in your life? These are things that are really going to get you thinking. We need to think outside our box. What did they teach you about life and who you should be? You can think about it in terms of following topics as well as others that come up for you. So you may have, and this is one of the things as we get further on down the road in the academy work, when we create a life that loves us back, one of the things is, who were your biggest influences? Because we can actually use the strength, the energy of people that we admire, even family members. One of my biggest or two of my biggest influences that I used to recreate my life years ago was my grandmother, who also was a metaphysical practitioner, the strongest, most powerful one I've ever met. And then also my great-great-grandmother, who was my father's great-great-grandmother. So the story was very powerful to me. I couldn't use my mother because my mother was my abuser. I couldn't use other people because they just didn't fit me right. So who is one of your influences? And if you can't seem to find that, don't panic. There's things like the Goddess Oracle deck, right? A ton, 44 ideas in here. You can go through your history notes if you want, Mother Teresa or whatever supports you. Use that because we can create ourselves in any way that we want. So one of the things that I'd like you, this is one of those add-on things that I said that I'm going to throw at you. So this is an add-on piece. I would like you to consider the qualities and do that as well of who you want to be. That means we do this a lot for relationships, for partners, but have you ever thought about doing it for yourself? I want to be softer. I want to be less frightened. I want to be able to speak up. I want to be able to talk in public without my knees knocking. These were my old ones. They're not me anymore. As you can see, I've totally shifted from the introvert almost even to the extrovert. And it just takes practice. I'm not saying be a Mia Saenz. I'm saying be you. Be a Allison Katzinger, be a Nicole Van Dyke, be a Dawn, be a Jody Blitzer. Be who you actually are. All right. And so then I'm going to ask you to spend 15 minutes really working to uncover some areas. There's some questions about like, what is success to you? How many hours of work do you feel is appropriate to work a day? All of the questions that we ask you has you frameworking your authentic self and who you are. Because guess what? And I ran a year program on this, and I'm sure some of you in here remember that. You don't know who you are until you know it. So what does that mean, you don't know who you are until you know it? We are mysteries to ourselves until we start breaking through to understand our beautiful gifts. So from what I've shared so far today, I'd like to hear from at least one person how this is resonating with you, how this is settling into you. How are you feeling? And if you're scared, it's okay. Let me support you. Who wants to go first? All you have to do is turn off your mute button and start speaking.
This is Jody. So far, it seems great and perfectly appropriate for me. I can relate to it very well. Thank you.
Oh, thank you. Thank you, Jody. That was great.
One of mine is that I've always been tough because I survived a lot of trauma. So you're always telling me, because I'm part of the academy, to be gentle with myself, to be gentle and nurturing, to love my body, even if it's in pain, to bring love into my experience more and self. And that's been, bringing in that love.
Right.
And even if I didn't have that from my parents, I say, okay, the Divine Mother, Mother Mary,
Yeah. Good. And does that help you? So she just had surgery recently, guys. That's why she's in bed. So does that help you with your pain, honey? And does that help you get yourself back on track?
Yeah, I've been calling on that, and I've really connected with the Divine Mother, and knowing that, I was almost killed a bunch of times, but I wasn't. So what was there besides me? There was Mother Mary there protecting me, watching over me. And now in my healing, it's not just a matter of protecting me, it's about showing me the love.
Right, right. So what Nicole is talking about, we do work on the mother wound. And so there's several people in the academy that were working on the mother wound. And so that's some of what she's referring to. And the gentleness, I can't expound upon it enough on how important the gentleness is for you guys to implement into your daily life and to learn. And if you guys need support this week, it's open for you guys to have a session with me. So book your session. They're very limited. Book your session. Some of you already have. And let's talk about the specifics of the things that are holding you back. If you guys don't tell me, I can't, and this is why I like these to be sort of like classes too, because I can reach more people that way. But if you don't tell me here or wherever that you need support, how am I supposed to support you? We have a Facebook group, the Greatest You Academy. We are keeping tabs on people in there. They write posts, or we write a daily post and they ask questions, and we answer it in there. If you don't feel like going to the Facebook group because you don't belong to Facebook, then write an email to me and I'll answer you. This is really important stuff. This is life-changing stuff. When I dug into my self-love, it changed my life. I heard on my 45th birthday 15 years ago, 16 years ago, 17 years ago, I can't remember, you've been unhappy your whole life. What would it be like to be happy? And that was the beginning of, I had been studying self-love for 36 years. But if you keep having, like me, which is normal until, this is why I'm saying that self-love is in every aspect of your life. Because when I heard that, it was on my birthday. And the only reason I took the time to spend time for myself, really, without being, I was a huge people pleaser, was because it was my birthday. My mother taught me, the only thing she gave me, she loved me and I loved her, but she was literally mentally insane. Some of us have had mentally insane mothers. And she told me and taught me that my birthday was all about me, my special day. So I took that as my, and I was a, excuse me, I'm going to curse. I was a grown ass adult. And so I finally took that and said, I'm going to enjoy today. And because I did it, and I also, what many of you don't know who are new to me or who haven't read the book Mirror Mirror is, doctors had called me into their office the month before and told me that I had less than 2 years to live, that my organs were closing and I was going to die, to get my affairs in order. So I had been sick since 9/11. I had also had an accident in 2005 where boxes fell and hit me on the head 5 different times. Boom, 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 boom. And I was taken away by an ambulance and couldn't walk after that. So I had to learn to walk, to have motivation to live, to try to surpass what the doctor said my organs were closing. So I had a big task ahead of me on that birthday. And I worked through I created the Dream, Believe, Create process in that, or I should say it was gifted to me, and it changed my life. And as it changed my life in the next, I gave myself 4.5 months to get out of the wheelchair, to build my inner core, to discover a program to lose weight, how to build my muscles, because I had been in a chair for 4 years. And all of this was to save my life, to change my experience, which when I went through, I heard that message that I shared with you, you've been unhappy your whole life. What would it be like to be happy? I then saw a process come through where you take spirituality, your relationships, your home life, your work life, and your body, and you recreate it. You expand it out. I expanded it out so much that I really wanted to live. I could see and I wanted it. So you create it, you get that belief that it has to be yours, and then you go out and you create it. And so I've lived my life like that ever since without looking back. And it has been the most love-based, beautiful experience I have ever known. And so that's why I'm saying that love, self-love and love is on every level. It's the way you open your doorknobs. It's the way you breathe, the way you sit in your car, how you represent yourself, what you feed yourself, what you think up here, what you allow in up here and in here, in your emotions and your heart. So all these patterns, all these misbeliefs can be shifted and changed to where you can create the life that you want. And I'm not just saying this because I love to teach self-love. I've guided thousands of people either in group or privately through. And so I'm saying this because I know that this is a fact for you guys. So with all of this said, we have work to get done. And I want you to remember how amazingly special you are. In fact, it should even be in this homework that not just those questions about who you most respected and looked up to when you were a kid and all that, but like we talked before about the qualities, who do you want to be? Spend a little time with that about you. Everything's redirected to you, and it's okay, and it's supposed to be, because self-love is about loving self, not about arrogance. So if you are the only one that can get you to this space, why would you not do it? Because no one else so far has gifted you that love to bring you to the place that you need. So you will be acquiring your own love. And as you develop it, your relationships will improve and change. The inner awareness of you. Okay, I do have to, I heard a little thing there when I said so sweetly, your relationships will change. What happens is sometimes with your girlfriends or even family members, you see that they're not a benefit to you. And sometimes you have to take a step aside. It doesn't mean you get rid of people. It just means you slightly distance yourself for protection. Now, I have a feeling that that's directed at one or more people here, and that's why I had to stop and go back and listen and restate that. So I want you guys to be aware of so tomorrow we can work through this aspect that I'm going to talk about. What fears and misbeliefs are also coming up with the homework that's listed inside of your workbook that we created for you. Because if this is truly all about you and for you, can you try to give yourself this next 4 days the space to be thinking that this is for you and all about you? Now, some of you will have the biggest chaos come up in your life. Why? Because chaos produces drama, or trauma produces drama, which is all about chaos. And we have to have it until we don't. Because if we've been producing that, and look, I'm one of them. So if we've been producing that over and over and over again, our system, our energies are then calling for that chaos. And I'm seeing Charlie Brown's Linus with his dusty, all his dust going flying around him. That's what the chaos of humanity looks like to me in our own individual lives. It's like Linus with all that dust around. Because as we clean it off and get rid of it, we don't have it anymore if we don't keep bringing it up. Be aware of how you're feeling. This is a lot of stuff to talk about. So listen to it again. But be aware of how you're feeling. We are going to, in the tools as we get further on, we're going to work on being focused on you and how you're feeling and asking yourself questions like, do I like this? Does this experience upset me or make me happy? And then when you choose which one you want, then, well, what do I need to do to get to the happy place? See, this being all about you, literally, we're training you to become these powerful beings that can actually move your life into the direction that you want to go. And why not? Others have done it. Why not you? Right? Okay. So now it's really open for questions and answers, and I'm sure we have some out there. And if not, it's okay. There's so much in self-love that you guys can actually tip and dip into and ask questions. Now is the time. Daniela wrote about she's doubting if men are interested in her or like her. I have a question for you, Daniela, because you did do that. Say that. And I'm glad, Judy, that you're loving yourself in your wheelchair. And you're saying you have MS currently? Is that what that MS is? You have MS and you're loving yourself. That's beautiful. So Daniela, if you want to work through this, now's the time. You have me on air. Those who know at talks like this, I love to support. Okay, so, and I'm not going to make you do it. So I have a question regarding tools for...
Yeah, actually, so, how can I release that limiting belief?
Okay, so one of your patterns is showing up again and again is doubting that the men I'm interested in like me. So the limiting belief has to be broken by you changing who you are and that concept. So the concept that you're going with is that men don't like you. So you must have that you're interested.
Actually, this is only coming up if it's a man I really like. So I feel really confident if it's a man I'm not interested in, you know?
So do you think that that's your own confidence that's affecting you, or do you think you're pulling in the wrong men?
I think it has to do with my confidence, because then limiting beliefs are coming up, like maybe, so I am kind of putting him on a pedestal then, only the man I really like. Then I think, oh, he is so great, so how can I really like me? Or maybe he will not stay, so maybe he will only,
Right.
he will looking for something committed or something like that, just for fun. Or
So look, you need to work on your own self and not caring about what another, and it's hard when we're looking in relationships, right? It is hard. So what that means is you need to get to a place where you don't care, or you don't want to caretake another. Does he like me? Am I good enough for him? Like you said, you put him on a pedestal. You shouldn't be putting anybody on a pedestal but yourself.
right.
Especially when you don't know them. You don't know these men because you've not dated them for months to get to know them, right? To be able to put them on that pedestal.
Yes.
Men also, so this is the deal, ladies, with men. Men love, doesn't matter what you look like, men love confidence. Confidence, funny, enlightened, happy, that's what men like.
It's so easy to be in that kind of state if it's a man I'm not interested in, you know, but if it's a man I like, then it's harder.
Well, but that just shows you that your outlook on relationships is very narrow, in the sense that if I don't like them, I'm okay with them and it doesn't disturb me. But if I do like them, then I chase them away. Is that correct?
Yeah, then I'm scared that I'm not enough, actually. Yeah. But
Right.
I feel confident if it's a man I'm not interested in.
Well, of course, because you're not interested in him. But as you develop you get confident in men that you like. It becomes fun because you don't doubt yourself. So the work you do on yourself absolutely benefits your dating life. It absolutely benefits your relationship life. most people know that I'm very transparent. And since I do believe that we learn experientially, I share stuff. So I'm going to share this with you. I married my husband 10 years ago. We had a few times where Mia left, where I left, not my husband. I even had 2 years in there where I was dating others. And I realized, and I'm very confident at this point, and I realized after a while that, get this, they weren't my husband. And what I realized was it was me. I kept pushing my husband away because of what I saw my mother doing with my father. Now, we know I'm not a child. And so to have that come up a couple years ago and recognize that, one, it's the greatest gift I ever had, because I got to get back together with my husband and fully love him how he deserved to be loved and how I deserved to love him. So what I'm saying, Daniela, is confidence. It's not just a confidence, it's the patterns, it's the beliefs about ourselves. It's about what we saw when we were children, right? I used to hear my mom say, your father and I are star-crossed lovers, and that's why we fight all the time. Well, I thought it was we had to fight all the time to be happy. How ridiculous is that? It's subtle. I'm an educated woman. I'm a smart girl. And yet I kept pulling that forward. So we can't judge ourselves. We have to love ourselves into being who we want to be. My biggest thing that I hear coming in, because I've learned how to listen, how to activate my body, mind, and spirit, is I hear at times, love more. And so what that does for me on a personal level, it takes me back to that, or it takes me in a relationship, like with friends or whatever's going on, to be softer, to maybe to listen, maybe to just be still and be patient to see what's coming along. So a relationship with a man is just like a relationship with your girlfriends. Or if you date girls and you're a girl, then with your other friends. We try not to narrow people down, in our classes. So
Actually, for me, it's hard to believe that the man I'm interested in, that he's fully stepping up for me. Maybe it's because my mother was always complaining about my father or something like that.
well, it's important to see so part of our journeys and discovering and what's in your homework today, how to get to know yourself better, is also understanding what our parents have done for us and to us, right? It's not that we're pointing fingers. There's no shame, blame, or pointing fingers. Everything is neutral and everything can be healed. But it is the awareness, like you said, maybe it's like my mother. Why don't you investigate that aspect? Because you did see it for many years. So investigate that and see how that settles with you. And then what's your new behavior going to be or feel inside? You can write everything down and recreate who you are. That's the beauty of the intelligent human, is we can shift and change our patterns into who we want to be. I'm not talking about fake stuff, but what qualities do you want to be? Do you want to be intelligent? Do you want to be savvy? Do you want to be outspoken? Do you want to be bold? Do you want to be quiet? Do you want to be introverted? There's so much you get to choose from, and it's all up to you. It's an individual's choice. And so when I was talking about all the layers of self-love, there's integrity, self-integrity, self-actualization, self-awareness, self-responsibility, self-devotion. Self-devotion is way on beyond everything, where you are so devoted to yourself that everything you do is about love. So this is why I'm saying there's so many I am self-love. There's so many levels to the love of who you are. So whether it's with your family or whether it's with somebody new, this is for all of you. You can change the relationship by looking at it. Now, at first you might say, I don't know how to do this. And that's okay. None of us do until we do. Part of it is in teaching you guys how to think and how to pull stuff out of yourself and how to get quiet and listen and meditate and journal. All of this stuff we're going to be talking about over this next week.
I
Okay?
think the hardest part is how to embody your new identities, for example, to be more confident in trusting and believing that it's working out with the man. You know, that's the hard part to embody it. I'm aware of a lot of things.
I have to cut you off, Daniela. I'm sorry, honey. There is no man here regarding you. It's about you, honey. It's not about a man. Do you get that? It's about you. As women, we want a partner. And yes, we're thinking about a partner. But honey, it's not about them. It's about us. Because as you said, you started saying, well, this and that and this, you took it away from yourself. You are so valuable that you get to discover who you are. And from there, you get to discover who you want to choose. It's all about you, not about another person. You have to develop yourself to know what you want. If you are already, for those of you who are in relationships, all you get to do now is strengthen yourself and enrich your relationship. Ariel Ford is a great writer on love, and she talks about recreating our soulmates with our present mates. And that is really what I did with my husband. How can you now, if you've got somebody who's a narcissist or something like that, you most likely won't be able to, because unless they want change, we can't change people. We're not here to change people. We're here to shift the energy of who we are in our relationships. And then things work out. And so, sweet Daniela, literally, it's about you before anyone else. The only way to get what you want is to dig into the work, and the work is uncomfortable. It can be uncomfortable, and it can be so elated and luscious that you're feeling high for days or for hours at least, because you finally connected to who you are. Does that make sense? It can't be about making yourself a certain way for anyone else. It's got to be about you. Does that make sense, everyone?
Yeah, it makes sense. Actually, yeah, I will see what will come up in the homework.
Yes.
Thank you.
Do come back tomorrow, honey, and share and let's dig on this so that you can recognize your own. So I'm going to tell you, I don't know what you look like. I've never seen you. I can only hear you. But the essence of you is a very beautiful woman who wants to live a life that's what she wants to live. Whatever it is, you want to live that. We all want that. We all are beautiful individuals. It's about dusting off the areas inside that we are not the happiest with. It's about bringing forward the areas that we want to live and grow in. And again, that has nothing to do with anyone else. As we recognize our own magnificence, then we get to create and bring in our own love, not just self-love, but with relationships, with friendships, with a mate or whatever somebody chooses, they get to do. Okay, thank you all for joining. Any last questions? Okay, all righty. I will see you all tomorrow. I'm going to turn off the recorder.